Name one challenging thing you had to overcome in life.
Hmm. One challenging thing. I would say being comfortable with being different.
Real Talk with Star Scorpio, Season 10. My guest today is a friend of two of my close friends, Rob and Amita. They both said I should have this amazing young talented woman on my podcast. Telly is a talented designer specializing in custom luxury fashion. I want to learn what inspired her to go down this path, and I'm going to learn today. Telly, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited for this podcast. So thank you for having me. I'm good.
Yes. Yes, let's get into it then. So, Telly, on Real Talk, I like to build a timeline. So, the first thing I want to ask you is where were you born and raised?
I'm actually born and raised in Nigeria, Lagos. Yes,
Okay.
I came here in 2007.
Hmm.
I think I was 7 at that age. Um, yeah, we came to Canada very cold December. I was, definitely a huge transition from the heat to the snow. So, but yeah, I'm born and raised in Nigeria, but I did grow up here for the most part.
Yeah,
So
for the most part.
I guess
Yeah.
I'm an official Canadian citizen now, you can say.
Yeah, there you go. Wait, drop your age though. So, 7, how old are you right now?
Bad math. I'm 25 right now. So
25 right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Wait, so when you came over, do you have siblings? Did the whole family come or just some of you?
So it was my mom, my dad, and my two older siblings. I have an older sister and an older brother. So I'm the baby of the house.
You're the baby. Is there a big age
Yes.
gap?
My sister's 20, no, 33, no, 34, sorry. And then my brother's 31 and I'm
Mhm.
25. So yeah, we all came here together as a family, hoping for a fresh start, more opportunities, and everything's been uphill since then. So, thank
Yes,
God.
yes, yes. I want to ask one question though about back home. How was the situation economically though? Like, a lot of people love to migrate to the States and to Canada. First of all, what made your parents choose the Canada over the States? Were they thinking that way too, or no?
Well, you know what? If I'm being honest, we actually had a good life in Nigeria.
Mhm,
We come from a good family,
mhm,
so we had basically everything we needed, but it was just more for opportunity wise. I think my parents saw that my mom is a lawyer back home and my dad he worked with banking. So we just figured for us to create more opportunities for us out here. That was, I think, the main reason why. Because yeah, so it wasn't like we had a bad life out there. We still have family. We still go visit occasionally. But it was just more for opportunity purpose, just to give us that chance to figure out what we want with more resources, basically, right?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of the story behind that, and we've just kind of grown since then up here. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who do you think had the hardest time transitioning out of the three of you? Because they're older and you're younger, and when you go to school, what do you think? Because I don't know if you talked about it with your siblings, but who do you think?
That's a very good question. I've never actually asked anybody that transition. I know for no doubt, like I had the easiest transition because
Yeah,
I came here when I was younger, right? So
yeah, yeah.
the system was easier for me to adapt to. I would say, maybe my parents. I would say
Oh,
because my siblings came in high school,
yeah.
so them too was kind of, even though it was towards the end of high school, they still had time to kind of make their group of friends and socialize with the right group of people for them.
Hmm.
My parents, I think it was just more of career change. That was the
Okay.
hardest part, transitioning from one career back home to this. So But in terms of the dynamic of how it is out here, it was pretty easy for us to kind of ease into it. The snow and the weather was definitely something that we were not used to at all. Like the winter jackets, the bundling up, we're like, yo, yeah. But I think we had the right group of people helping us as well too. We found the right church for us that kind of brought us into. Yeah, so we had people out here who could help us out. So I think that made the transition a little bit easier. But I would say my parents, no doubt about that, because it was
Nice.
just like they've already built their life. It's now just career to career. Us, we still had the time to kind of build from scratch what we wanted to do, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Wait, yo, you touched on something there because
yeah,
I was born and raised in Canada, so I know winters, right? And you know what's funny? Sometimes I go outside in a t-shirt when it's dead of winter, right? Just to put the garbage out. And this black lady see me one time and she's like, put on your jacket. And I'm like,
they don't know.
you get mad at me. And I'm like, yo, I'm cool. Don't worry about it. But we have some cold winters, right? So you tell me now, you came in December. So you already said, yeah, you came in the middle of December, but I really want to know the feeling. So you came from a hot country, you landed the plane and it was Pearson Airport, I guess, right?
Yes, yes.
So when you go outside, and December is, yeah, it could be cold, but it's not like January, February, but still it was cold. So when you went outside, how was that feeling? Do you remember it at that age?
I remember it clearly. Luckily, I think the people who are already in Canada already advised us on how to dress, so we came prepared in that sense.
Okay,
You
okay.
know,
Mm.
but I think seeing snow for the first time as a little kid, I was just like, "What is this white thing?" I was jumping all over the place. I even started eating the snow. I was like, "What is this?" And my parents, my whole family, they remind me till this day. Like, do you remember you were that little girl that was jumping in the snow? I was the coolest, happiest day because I was like, this is such a huge transition. I wasn't even worried about how cold it was or anything like that.
Yeah.
I figured my parents, they already kind of know about snow because they traveled before. So it was,
Oh.
for them, it might not have been huge, huge adjustment.
Mhm.
But I think for me and my siblings, it was just like the coolest thing because Nigeria, the coldest weather is like maybe a sweater now for us, like a windy little summer day for us. That would be the coldest. Like they call it hamatan.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the wind from, I don't know where it comes from, the deserts. I don't know. It's like everywhere is chilly and that's the coldest we've experienced. So it was definitely the coolest thing ever. I'm not gonna lie. And then I got tired of it after a week.
Of course.
I was like, all right, bring the sun back.
Bring
Okay.
the sun back. Okay, and last question about the snow,
Yeah.
and this has to do with pictures because I'm 50. So back in the days, yeah, we had cameras we have to develop at the store, right? You get
Right.
instant cameras, right? So I think I only have a few pictures from my parents of me and my brother in the snow, but
Right.
you have phones and stuff, right? So you have a lot of pictures of first coming to Canada and having the snow pictures and all that stuff.
It wasn't a phone. We still had our like little
Oh,
flip phone or whatever the phone was.
yeah,
But it
yeah.
was we had the little cameras, little Nikon cameras
The
or
digital one. Yeah.
yeah, I think we had gotten as a gift or something. And then that was what we used to document all our experiences, from beginning to end, at least the first couple of years of being here. So yeah, we took a lot of photos because everything was just cool, It was like, oh, this tree's even different. Snap.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
yeah.
true.
Luckily we had a lot of pictures. So yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't get access to them, but we have the memory card or what
The
is it
mem
called? The
yeah,
SD
the
card.
memory card. Yeah, the SD card,
But
yeah.
I don't know how to take it off the camera like right now. So we've been trying to figure that out because we know there's going to be a lot of good memories that pop up on that. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
luckily we could document it.
Nice. Okay, now 7 years old, school. I'm gonna skip public school and get to middle school and high school. What middle school, high school did you go to? What area did you grow up in?
In Canada, right?
Yeah.
So we went with the first apartment we moved to was by that Square One, those buildings by Square One.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mississauga.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right on Square One. I don't know the name of the street, but it's right in front of the mall. So it was a nice place to go to at first.
Mhm.
So my elementary school was Bishop Scalabrini, I think was what it's called. It was
Okay.
right beside Michael Gates. I don't know if you know that, familiar with that high school.
No, not anymore, no.
Yeah, that was the first one, and then we had moved to Bloor in Mississauga.
Okay.
Um, I'm trying to. I don't know if you know the high school Philip Pocock, or
Yeah, I
are
know.
you familiar with it? It's
With
like,
high schools, I know the names.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the elementary school I went to was Saint Alfred. After that, I've moved from school to school. I think in my house, I'm the one who's gone to the most schools between Nigeria and here.
Hmm.
So, and then I went to another elementary school shortly after when we moved to Milton.
Hmm.
Oh goodness, I forgot my school name, Lumen Christi. Sorry, it was a lot of Catholic schools, right? And then
Uh,
high school, college, university. So I've gone from a lot of institutions within Canada, and like,
hmm.
but yeah, that was the very first school I went to. Wasn't crazy about it, if I'm being honest, but
So tell me something though. When you switch schools so much, how was it with the hold on.
she's trying to be seen.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna cut this out. I'm gonna cut this
No,
out.
you're okay.
Yeah, so switching so many schools, how was it with the friend aspect? Like, was it hard to make friends and you have to leave them and it's a different era when you were because then you had I forgot the timeline with you in Facebook because you can still keep in contact with certain
Yeah.
people. But how was it making friends? Then you have to leave them and things like that.
That is a great question because I brought that up to my sister the other day too. You know what? Very first school was hard because I still had a little bit of an accent. I don't know if you hear it now, but it's like summer. I don't know, but I had a stronger Nigerian accent, so it was very hard to make friends in that one school. And I came towards the time when a lot of people already had cliques, so you already know who
Mm.
your friend group was. And I'm not. I wasn't necessarily like the most social. I'm a little bit introverted when I want to, so it's like a mix of both. So I had a harder time. So I'm not gonna lie, I was like bullied the first school because I was that introvert that I had friends, and then it was just a lot of mix up. But it was harder in that school. And after that, I gained confidence every school after that. So I was like one of the, cool people or whatever. So it was easy
Yeah.
for me to make friends moving
Yeah.
forward, but to maintain that relationship afterward was always the issue. So it's kind of like once you guys move to a different place, and it's like you just slowly start to lose touch. And I'm not driving, so I can't go visit you when I want to. So I've cultivated that habit of having lots of friends
Yeah.
from different schools, but it's hard to keep that long lasting. Like it was, I think, towards high school and college where I had longer experiences in school
Mhm.
or longer time to make that solid relationships last.
Yeah.
But that being said, I still we still reach out to everyone I know from different places or whatever. But I think my closest friends that I've had solid for years now are people I met in my like older stages, like high
Yeah.
school and college, because I got to go through all that years with them and stay in the same school. So I won't lie, it affected me in that sense because I see my brother and my sister like growing up in Nigeria. They did most of their high schools back home. So they had
Yes.
boarding schools. So they grew up with these people. They lived with them. They woke up. You know what I mean? So they
Hmm.
had time to build that solid. So even till now in Canada, they still, if these people were in Canada, they'll reach out, they go back. So I always envy that in a good way. Like, wow, this is some solid 10, 15-year relationships you've maintained. A lot of my friends, like I said, my closest ones now, they've been for like maybe 10 years now because
Yeah.
we've gone through that. But it was a little bit of a challenge keeping, sustaining long-term friendships, I think, in
Mm.
that sense. But,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
guess that's, yeah. They're always like, you always have a new friend every time. And I'm like, well, I'm always moving schools every time. What do you want me to do? So it's good that you actually asked that. So I was just talking about it the other day. But yeah. Um, oh God, someone's coming down right now. Continue. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what?
Yeah.
I was lucky though, because I some people move schools and then they meet better friends somewhere else though. But
Oh
I gotta
yeah.
say I was lucky because I grew up with a core group of friends and our connection, Rob was my best friend from kindergarten, Jamal, Kevin, us four together. We grew up from kindergarten all the way up to high school,
Right.
and we're still close today. And you always meet new people and you have different friends, but that core group, I was lucky to have them. And there's a lot more. There's too many names I could name, but we all grew up in the same area and went
Right.
to the three schools, the public school, the junior high, and then the high school.
Right.
And then we split, right, with university and college. So yeah, I just wanted to know about that. Now in school, because you're into fashion. So
Yes.
I want to know, what did you excel in I can say high school, because
Yeah.
that's when people start to know what um not and not everybody, but people start to
Right.
know what they like to do. Some is the sports, the math, the this. I had a friend, Jamal, one of my close friends. He was into drawing earlier on, where I can't even draw a stick man. You know what I mean? So he goes in the art world. What did you excel in?
Art was always my thing. Like from Nigeria, art. Like it was me, pencil and paper. I don't know what I was. I didn't even know what it was. I would just draw, draw, draw. You're talking to me, I'm doodling, you know. So I knew art was definitely my thing. Um, Same thing in elementary school up here. I just cultivated that habit of, just drawing. I knew in high school, a lot of my favorite classes I realized were art classes, photography classes, this, that. So I branched off into photography because thankfully high school here they offer photography classes as well. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay. So I from there I learned a new skill that I was like, yo, I really like this too. And then closer towards the end of high school, I had to figure out, okay, now I know what I like.
Mhm.
Oh, and luckily my parents took me to art classes too when in Canada as well. These are part of
Oh,
the resources that I'm saying that it's for us, we have access to these things. So
okay.
I went for sewing school just for fun, sewing
Mhm.
classes,
Mhm.
elementary school, I was there, drawing classes, just things to keep me busy during the summer. You know how people do summer camps and soccer or whatever. Mine was arts and stuff like that. But high school, I had to kind of finalize it and be like, okay, now where do I take this interest? Like, what
Mhm.
path does that lead me? And I knew, and I also, sorry to mention quickly, growing up too, I also loved cutting clothes and cutting pieces. Like I hated throwing things away. I would take
Okay.
maybe jeans and stuff and I
Mhm.
would make a whole outfit for my Barbie. I could take a pair of socks and flip it into a whole like designer style. So
Yeah.
I knew I started getting interest in these areas. So I was like, you know what? Then I spoke to one of my teachers and they were like, fashion is actually a really good place to go in terms of that. Um,
Mhm.
because these are all the things you like and they're all related to fashion. You like to draw, that's in fashion. You like photography, it's fashion. You like clothes, it's fashion.
Mhm.
This is something that can tie everything in one rather than you picking what your favorite thing is out of all of that.
Right.
Right. And I went with it because she had recommended, she said she went to school for fashion. So she told me a little bit about it. And I'm like, you know what? You have a point. This is somewhere I don't have to pick and choose a skill. I can incorporate all my skills in one and
Mhm.
excel at that kind of, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it was. And I haven't looked back since. So no regrets on that. I did go to college first.
Mhm.
So my college was a fashion design college, and it was 2 year program. But in those 2 years, I could tell you I learned so much,
Mhm.
so much. It was hands on sewing. So that's long story short. That's how I knew that this was the path for me. I'm like, I know I like to draw, which is the sketching phase. Then I like to translate that into the real life creation. Then I like to photograph it and style the people. I also love makeup, so I do their
Yeah.
makeup. So it's
Yeah.
like everything just ties into one, right?
Mhm.
So that's how I knew. I'm like, okay, this is definitely where I'm, you know.
Yeah. So, so that's good that you knew the path you want to go. Because, like I said, though, in high school, a lot of people know what they like doing. So, is it sports? Is it drawing? Is it math?
Right.
They want to go down the sciences and all this. But some people don't, like me. So, I really envy people that knew what they wanted to do and they follow that path, that trajectory, even though it may change. But it's good to have a sense of what you want to do. So, that's good.
Of
Now,
course.
I have to ask, so I know you like drawing and things like that,
Yeah.
but there's so many questions that came out of what you were saying. The first thing I want to know is, it's always nice when you have a teacher that's inspiring and gives you direction. And we had those teachers in the past, but I like to ask people on the podcast, do you remember teachers? Because I know you're saying one
Of
teacher,
course.
but were there teachers that really pushed you and said, this is what you can do?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was let's just say I was one of their favorite students. Like in
Okay.
that term. I give them a little bit of hell.
Yeah, yeah.
But they loved it. And it's like that those are the teachers I connected with the most. I saw them as like a kind of like a parental figure a little bit. Like, they understood your quirks and they embraced it and they kind of helped navigate you towards a path that, that they feel genuinely aligns with what your goal is. But yeah, a lot of my most memorable teachers are actually within my arts. um,
Yeah, of course.
uh, they really taught me a lot, and I really that there's also something that I'll never just forget. Even essential skills and things like that. Like those are like really important to my life and things that I've taken with me this far. So those are I can name at least like three to four teachers that even from elementary school, like I can remember that really stood out to me. But of course, most of the teachers are within high school and college as well.
Hmm.
Um, I had in college, quick story. We
Hmm.
had a photo shoot fashion show, and this is our final end of the year graduation. So all our collection for the year,
Hmm.
and they had hired this one photographer,
Hmm.
and this photographer was like, everyone's picture is being taken the same way. He's gonna do it. But I was the one that was like, no, I don't see the vision with my collection this way. Like, that's not what I see. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, he's doing everyone's the same way. I'm like, that's fine. I'll take my own photo, right?
Yeah.
They were like, nobody has ever asked to do that. Like, what do you, everyone's just like, yeah, let the professionals do it. I was like, I trust my vision. So I
Oh, wow.
took my models. We went out. We found some nice. This is where the photography skills come in handy. I
Mhm.
took my camera because I have a professional camera as well. I
Okay.
took them. We found a nice. It was a hotel they had gotten for the shoot. I
Hmm.
just found some really nice locations. It's on my Instagram page. The three models on the chair.
Okay.
That was one of my shots as well too.
Okay.
Come and then it just came out so beautifully, and that's something that was just so important to me. The teachers, I gave them hell a little bit because they were like, "Why are you trying to be doing everything different?" I was like, "I just want to follow what my vision is. I don't mean to offend anybody.
Hmm.
I've already seen this vision from beginning to end. I
Hmm.
want to see it through. I don't want somebody else's vision not to come complete the whole project." I don't know if that made me weird or anything, but then I had one teacher and she called me. She goes, I respect the fact that you're sticking to, rather than seeing it as like me being defiant or me being
Yeah.
troublesome a little bit. She
Yeah.
kind of was like, I respect that. You
Hmm.
see your vision, you've seen it, and this will take you a long way. When you
Hmm.
don't let people kind of try to tell you what to do. You stick to what you and she really just gave me the most inspirational talk, and that's something I'll never forget. And she was just kind of like very inspiring. She's like, "Tell I feel like I see you going places. You just keep doing what you're doing." And that, as small as it might be to her
Hmm.
at that moment, it meant the world to me. And that's something that I even cried after that conversation
Oh,
because
wow.
at some point I started to feel like, am I being like annoying? Like,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
she just kind of brought that together. Like, these are not quirks. These are important things you need to carry with you through life. And it's good that you're starting now to see that, especially
Hmm.
within the fashion industry. You need to you need to know what you're doing in sense of like, you have a vision,
Hmm.
follow it. You
Follow
know,
it. Yeah.
don't. So that someone like that's something that, and she was probably everyone hated that teacher. I was the only one. I was like, I see something else. I don't know what you guys are seeing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because of that talk. That's someone I just naturally gravitated to throughout my whole college experience.
Hmm.
But she stood out to me the most. Like, it was just it really meant the world to me. So teachers like that, like, they deserve, they don't realize how much that means to the students and how far that they take that with them. So yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm glad you shared that. I'm glad you shared that story because yeah, those teachers deserve the kudos and the props.
Oh yeah.
And some people say that when people quote unquote are defiant, oh, they like to go against the grain. But it's not even that. It's what you said. When you have a vision for something, you can't let someone taint that vision.
Of
And if
course.
it didn't work out, it's still your vision and you've seen it from
Oh yeah.
fruition
Of
to beginning
course.
to fruition. But I'm glad you stuck to your guns on that one.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
definitely the Aquarius in me for sure.
Yo. Yo.
You say left, I'm going right. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I just hated them like telling me what to do in the sense of, this is fashion. The whole point of this is to let your creativity flow.
Mm,
Styles didn't come to pass by someone sticking to the rules. This
yeah.
is how new trends start. This is how, you know, you break boundaries. You push beyond what they've told you what the limit is. So when you're telling me, no, you have to sew this way, I was like, but if everybody's sewing this way, then what's unique about it? If I want to sew this way, you know?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was always pushing that, I was always pushing that button a little bit for it. But
Hmm.
she definitely was a big part of that. So,
Hmm.
shout out to Mary, wherever you're at. I hope you're seeing this.
Yeah. Nice. Wait, so what college did you go to?
college in winter actually. Like
Wait,
you would
say it
not, no
again.
one.
Say it
St.
again.
Clair College,
Take click.
St. Clair.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone always wondered why that school, and I was like, I actually originally wanted to go to Ryerson first. I ended up
Mm.
going to Ryerson though. My portfolio hadn't been fine tuned enough to get into Ryerson. Like I missed it by like a little bit. So they're like, everything is good, but your portfolio could be fine tuned a little bit more. So it's like, all right. I went to St. Clair as like a second option. That was my second on my list.
Mm-hmm.
And then the plan was do St. Clair and then fine tune your stuff and then reapply to Ryerson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that was the best decision I did. You see, when everything works out for a reason,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I went to that St. Clair. I loved the school so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, you get that personal one on one experience that you really need, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and thankfully, when I finished, I went to Ryerson, I got in. 1 year into it, COVID hit. So you see,
Oh.
like, that's why I said everything happens for a reason. I was like, my plan was first year, then second year, I'll start making connects and stuff. COVID hit. So the next 2, 3 years of Ryerson was remote.
Yeah.
Two
Yo,
years. Two, yeah, 2 semesters.
you know
No,
what? I
2 years.
think you're trying to remember. You're trying to
Yeah,
remember. You know what's great? I think Amita told me about that. She said to ask you about COVID, how it affected your life, your trajectory, your schooling and things like that. Okay.
yeah. So times like this, I was so grateful I got to go to St. because I wasn't happy at first. I didn't get in, but I was like, you see, everything happens for a reason, you know? Because
Yeah.
I would have if I hadn't gone to St. Clair, like that really schooling one on one with the teachers,
Hmm.
I never would have got. Even at Ryerson, it wasn't necessarily one on one. It's like
Hmm.
one teacher and many people you're trying to overlook, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of the essential skills that I learned really came from St. Clair. Like Ryerson was more theory based, running a business type thing. Like, you learn a few things too, but I would say a lot of kudos to St. Clair College for that, in that they played a big role in like what I know right now, especially with fashion.
Hmm.
Ryerson did their thing too, but like that 3 years of online or schooling or 2 years, I was just, I don't know. It just didn't feel the same, especially in a creative program where a lot of things are hands on. You really need that in person
Yeah.
experience. I want to be able to build connects with people. You're having meetings with students that you've never really met in person. And at the end of Ryerson, when you do the degree or
Hmm.
the class thing,
Hmm.
I was like, I could count like one person I actually knew in this
Oh,
whole
what?
entire program. You know how
Yeah.
university is like. Everyone has different classes, so you might see one person in this class, but you're not seeing them again for the rest of the.
Yeah.
So I was like, this isn't really what I wanted. Like I wanted that, St. Clair, I could say I knew every single person in my class. I built up relationship. It was like, so I'm just very grateful that that happened.
Hmm.
So
Wait,
and
earlier thanks for sharing that. Earlier in the podcast though, did you say you were introverted? I can't remember if you were saying you're
I am. I got a little bit of social anxiety sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, there's my big secret. People
Mm.
can't tell through social media because social media, it's not real. Like it's
Yeah.
real, but it's not real, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I don't have to talk on social media. I just kind of post what I'm. That's always me. I'm more of a what's it, visual person. So I you learn more about me based off what I show you, kind of thing. If that makes sense. Like, does
I get it.
that make sense a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah.
I'm social when I think it's that meeting new people, and I think this heightened a little bit when I got older. I was always social younger.
Hmm.
As I got older, I got a little bit more kept to myself a little bit more. So, and I keep my circle very small. So, um, yeah. So I'm more of the observer. Like I like to study. I like to watch. I like to and I'm a thinker. I'm always in my head.
Hmm.
So when I'm quiet, sometimes it's not really because I don't even want to talk. It's just because I'm like I'm so lost in my own
Yeah.
head. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of a new idea. I'm thinking of something. So there's just so much in my head. But I would say I'm more of the introverted as I got older. Nah, I don't like it. Um, that's something that I'm also pushing towards. So doing things like I normally wouldn't want to do. Like
Yeah.
to be honest, even this was like a little bit outside of my comfort zone at first. It's like
Comfort zone.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. I'm like okay, I've never done this, but you know what? Do it. I signed up for social networking, like both melting chambers, other business people. Like I push myself to go in there. It's not something I would normally do as well. Like
Hmm.
so I was like, yeah, you have the talent or whatever, but you need to put it out there as well. Like, nobody will know what you're doing if you don't kind of push yourself and make yourself known. So that's something that I'm really working towards. But don't get me wrong though, I can be very extroverted
Yeah. Of
with the right
course. Of
group of
course.
people.
Yeah.
So it's a good balance, I would say, I guess. right?
Yeah,
But yes.
we're kind of similar that way because I did stand-up comedy for like 8 years in Toronto, and then people are like, "How do you go up on stage and do it?" It's just something I like to do, and I have that background of being funny when I was a kid, and I'm like, it only led me to this.
Right.
Of course, I was nervous before I go on stage, but there's something
That must
about
have
being
been
on
really
stage.
nerve-wracking. I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
I could ever do that.
But
No, but
I'm
it shows because
introverted
you have a
though.
good energy too. Like you
Hmm.
have, it's very welcoming. So right off the bat, I felt like relaxed a little bit. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, this is gonna be very chill. Like I can
yeah,
get the vibe already.
yeah.
So it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, I hear that all the time when I'm some people are nervous when they come on the pod because they never done a podcast before. But then
Right.
they say once they start talking to me, it's like, it's like the camera's not even on and things like that.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
But
That's good
yeah,
though. But
so no, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I'm saying that's good. Like that helps a lot of people who come out of their little comfort zone a little bit. So kudos to
Yeah,
you on that one.
yeah, thank you. Oh, you know what I was gonna do? Have you heard of Toastmasters?
That sounds familiar.
Because
What is it?
just on the line of our conversation, I think Toastmasters is something that trains you to be like the public speaker and things like that. Like if you
Okay.
Google it
I feel
after
like
you'll
I've heard
see.
that name somewhere.
Yeah, some people take
Okay.
that course or whatever it is to help them be more out there when it comes to
Hmm.
presentations and things like that. And I think Toastmasters helps people do that. I hope I'm quoting it right. But yeah, I was thinking of taking that one time, but I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. But
Why
yeah, it's
not?
it's good that you're putting yourself out there. I don't know, it's too much energy to do that. So I was like,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna do it.
I
But
might check it out.
yeah, check it out, check it out. But I would never know talking to you that you're
Nobody ever assumes
singing.
that though. They
Mm,
just you get that vibe that I'm just, but I guess I just get in my own head too. I think
mm,
that's what it is. Like I think I'm an extrovert. I just choose to be an introvert by choice. I don't know how to explain it, but no
mm.
one ever gets that, you know. Even
Yeah.
like I had family that I haven't seen since maybe Nigeria. So we reunited in New York for my cousin's wedding.
Oh,
So we're seeing
nice.
everyone so everyone's all excited. And I was excited too. I just showed my excitement differently. So they
Yeah.
came up, they're like, yo, they talked to my sister, like, yo, I thought Tele was more extrovert. She's like, no, she's actually like very quiet and like introverted. And they're like,
Yeah.
I would never have guessed. Like, she's always out and traveling. I'm like, yeah, you could travel. Doesn't mean I'm traveling in groups. You know what I mean? I travel by
Yeah.
myself, like with one friend, but so they never ever expect that from me. But I guess
Hmm.
it's like a shocker, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is great. The last question I want to ask about, so we talked about the school and the positive teachers. Now your parents. So when it comes to creativity, people with that creative mind, sometimes parents don't understand that. And sometimes it's because the age gap too. Like my parents were older when they had me, so maybe they didn't understand certain things.
Right,
Like when I watched some documentary about some hip hop artists back in the days, and specifically DJs, and they would take their mother or father's record player and they start scratching on it, and
right.
then they're like, "What's that noise coming from the
Noise,
room?" You know what I
right?
mean? But they're being creative and inventive and things like that. Where some people have parents are like, say yes, do what you need to do to excel in whatever you want to excel in. Where some parents are like, "What are you doing? S- Go to school and get a normal job or whatever." How were your parents when it came to the fashion and cutting up the clothes and all that stuff
Oh
too?
man, I can say I'm incredibly lucky to have my parents.
Mm,
They've been one of my biggest motivators, supporters. They, my two siblings, they kind of went after, I think, school wise, career wise, well, schooling at least, what my parents ideally thought was best for them. And they kind of saw how that played out because they ended up doing something completely different,
mhm.
and then it was later on that I kind of realized that, but that's not really what I want to do. So with me, I think they were a little bit more on the, let's use this one as a test trial and you do
Yeah,
what you want.
yeah, 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 yeah.
In a sense, but they've seen my passion from a long time. Like they've seen how excited I am to do things. They see the skills, so they see that okay, there's potential here, especially in a place like Canada.
Mhm.
Nigeria now is very good with big name designers and stuff like that, but bringing us here at that time was like, this is for you to kind of develop new things and learn what you're interested in. So they've always been my biggest supporter in that sense. They put me through the right schooling that I need. They always remind me, and it's very odd as Nigerian parents. We're very Nigerian parents are very traditional for the most, not all of them, but for the most part.
Yeah.
You want it's either you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're an accountant. Like that's what they want. Those are the fields they want you so that parents can brag and say, "Oh, my daughter
Yeah,
and my son." Like
yeah. Yeah.
for me, they've just kind of what we see your passion lies in, and they actually see that you're good at what you do. It's not just some random thing that okay, what is this? Like they see that there's an actual potential here if nurtured properly, right?
Mhm.
So they've time they, my parents, they pray for me. They say you're, tele this that. They've been so supportive in everything that I do. Like even when I'm working, my dad will come. He's there by my side. He'll give me tips, and he'll be like, he'll come inspect it. He's like the accountant for me. Like he's there. My
Yeah.
mom is like the legal side as a lawyer, so she's like, oh, like so in their own ways they come together and they motivate you when they celebrate your wins with you. Like they push you when it's a harder time. So I'm very grateful to have parents. Like, and they've never once questioned my path
Mhm.
or
Good.
made me doubt it. They've
Mhm.
always reinforced that this is you're doing good. You're on the right path. Put it in God's hands. Pray. This kind of thing. So they've been my biggest. Even when going to a Nigerian church, people it's time to go to college. Parents are like, oh yeah, my kid's doing this. And when he said I'm doing fashion, it's kind of like,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, until they see your work, and
Of
then they're
course.
like, oh, you did that. And I was like, so I felt the need over time. I don't need to prove to anybody. I've got my parents and they approve. That's what matters. I've got my family and they support me, and that's what matters, right?
Mm.
So they've, if they weren't really as supportive, I feel like it might have been a different path. Possibly over time it'll get to you, and it might. So long story short, I'm very grateful. They've been very good about that. Like very, very good.
Man,
So,
amazing.
you
That's
know,
good to hear. That's good to hear because that's
yes,
very encouraging for a young person growing up,
yeah.
to have that family solid, what do you call it? Unity. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
With the siblings and your parents too.
Oh yeah.
Very
Oh yeah.
motivating. Nice. I think this is a perfect time to ask this would you rather question. And then I just
Okay.
want to touch on the fashion and what you're doing right now.
Of course.
But this is a question I like to ask people. And I've asked people of different ages. You're 25. So let's see
Yes.
what you would say.
I'm
Would you
scared.
rather would you rather visit your younger self and give them advice for the future? Or would you rather visit your older self and have them give you advice for what's going on right now?
I'd rather my future self.
Okay.
I feel at this stage, a lot of guidance is very important for me. So I try to get guidance from anywhere good that I can.
Mhm.
Books, watching like just anything useful. My parents, so I'm always looking for to not make the wrong decision.
Mhm.
You know, um, I'm very goal oriented. So I have, as people do, you have big goals, big dreams, whatever. I feel if I, and I'm always looking into the future. Everything I do is like, how is this going to affect me down the line?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just about now. I'm always thinking ahead. So I think that would be more what I would lean towards. Like, okay, Tele, this is what you should and not do. This is how we're going to get you to this point that you need to be. Like, I think that would be more, I think growing up, there's no regrets. Anything that I've done has led me to this point, and I'm happy with where I'm at right now. So would I go back and do things differently? Possibly, but I feel it's more important to now change what's going on in the future than worrying about what happened in the past, right? So
Mm.
I would lean towards a future self one, definitely,
Interesting.
definitely,
That's good.
definitely.
I love asking this question because I get both going back and forth.
Yeah.
But now this is the thing. I have four things to ask you now, and it's all about your younger self. So I know you're saying you like the direction you're at and everything, what led you here, but this is about your younger self.
Okay.
What would you tell your younger self about money?
Hmm. It's a good question. What would I tell my younger self about money? Honestly, stop being so frugal with always always
Well, wait,
pinching in
wait,
as
wait,
a
wait, wait. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I think I'm very I don't want to say cheap with money, but I don't like to spend too much either. I
Yeah.
think I'm very frugal with it. I get that from my dad. So it's all about saving, saving, but sometimes it's okay to treat yourself and not have that guilt behind it, behind spending,
Mm.
behind actually doing something good for yourself. I think that would be my my advice to myself because that's something that I'm trying to unlearn now. Like
Oh,
it's
wow.
okay to buy yourself something. Like you get the money, yeah, you save it, whatever, but treat yourself,
Hmm.
You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Buy that nice purse for yourself and not feel bad about price. I'm not saying go crazy, but just pay to spend on yourself without the guilt that comes with it.
Hmm.
That's what I would tell myself because from a young age, I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset. Like even if it's hosting little uh, concerts with my neighbors and the neighborhood girl kids come together and drop in little toonies and whatever the case is. In
Yeah.
high school, it's doing people's pants and tapering it for whatever the case is. I always had that little hustler mindset. So the
Mm.
money part wasn't the issue. It's just now spend it. It's okay, make it, but treat yourself.
Yeah.
Can't just lock it up and not. So
Hmm.
that's what I would tell myself. Stop being so cheap.
Wow. This is a good take because I heard a lot of people and I said the same thing. Well, I wasn't good with money back in the days and I was like I save it and have it just in case of those rainy days and build up those investments. But it's good that you know that part of it. And now you're saying, yeah, when it comes to the time, yeah, it's
Yeah,
not bad to just spend your money on something that you want.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's,
Oh,
you know,
hmm. Okay, next one. What would you tell your younger self about friends?
not everybody is your friend. Um, no shit on the people I've made friends with. Everyone's been good, but also I think I hold a lot of importance towards friendship. Like I hold them to a very high standard. That's just me. Um, but sometimes that's not always reciprocated. So you get hurt in the process. So it's just always remember, like it's good to have people around. It's good to have acquaintances, whatever. But not everybody is truly, truly your friend. So you have to really be careful who you pick as friends. And also another one I would say is get the friends that align with what your
I get
goals
it.
are in
Yeah.
that sense, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
Like even though you're still at a young age, but it's sometimes these you have bad influences at a very young age, which I have, I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
But this was me still learning who and where I belong and kind of thing like that. But it's just pick your friends very, very carefully because they will play such a big role in where you end up and how you are or
Hmm.
what you do with yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell myself. Just not everybody. Some people can make friends with just anybody on the street, and I'm like, I take a little bit longer because I have to really like analyze. Like, yeah, we can be cool, but you're not my friend. Like, it's okay to not call everybody your friend, right?
Right. Right.
Friend is a very powerful word, right?
Hmm.
So I think that is what I would tell myself. That is definitely what I would tell myself. But yeah, I think I've been good so far with friends. Not gonna lie.
Have you heard that saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future?
Of
Yeah.
course, of
Mm.
course, and it means more to me as I get older than obviously when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I take that very, very to heart
Mhm.
the older I get. So yes, no doubt about that.
Okay. Next one. What would you tell your younger self about family?
Cherish family, cherish family. Um, yeah, like I think in the past, I wouldn't say I cherish friendship more, but I definitely put a lot more trust in friends than I do in at the time with
Hmm.
family.
Hmm.
If I know it sounds bad, I've just felt more comfortable being more open, I think, in friendships than I have in the house.
Hmm.
And not anything bad on my family. I think it's just how I grew up and maybe things that have happened that have just made me more closed off to being more open. But it's like at the end of the day, friends do come and go, but your family's here forever. So these are really actually the people you should be, you know,
Yeah.
gravitating towards. But yeah, I think even the types of friends that I have and I see their closeness with their family open my eyes too. Like, these are your best friends, really. They're these are your friends, but these should be your true best friends who you tell everything to and who you know. So that's I think what I would tell myself more. Just cherish cherish family.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nice.
more.
Nice. Last one though.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self about love?
Mm. Questions. What do I tell myself now about? I don't know how to answer that one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Mhm.
I can tell you. Maybe it's okay to not kn know what you want yet. Like if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I don't
Mhm.
know. Like everybody's experience with love is different. There's not one set way of. So it's okay to not. I couldn't really tell you that one actually. If I'm being quite honest, I've never thought about. You're asking some really deep questions. I'm gonna have to go think about this for the rest of the day now. But I couldn't tell you about that one really.
Yo, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 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 no
I had
worries.
something, but I was like, no, that's not actually what I would tell myself. I'm gonna have to think about that one. But I'll
Yeah.
say you win that one. Okay, I'm gonna give me something to think about now.
Nice. Nice. All right. So you worked your way through the would you rather questions back to now fashion and design. Just a few questions I want to ask you to let the people know that are going to be listening to this too. So we know how you wanted to get into this world, you started on your own and had that interest, took the schooling. Now, what really got you into the realm of actually doing your designs? Like, how did you actually start? Like, okay, because I don't know the industry that well, right? So what pushed you to make your own designs, which led you to do maybe some shows or showcase some of your clothing?
So, like I said, fashion has always been a part of my life. Like I knew that's definitely what I want to do. But I've worked for different so- companies and different jobs, different types of fields.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's like it doesn't bring the same fulfillment for me as, you know, doing what I love, like the excitement, the joy of what doing what I like creating what's in my head and bringing it to life. So that I think was the biggest played the biggest role in me wanting to do that, you know, like and honestly, I no shot like no hate on anything, but I like to be original in the sense of style. Like even if it's not my clothes, I don't dress the most. I don't dress any like fancy anything crazy like that. Really, you wouldn't even know I'm a designer if you
Yeah,
really
yeah.
saw me sometime. If I
Yeah.
dress up, maybe, but on a normal day, I'm in my sweatpants. I'm just chilling, right? So I'm
Right.
not superficial in that sense, but I like originality. I don't like seeing, and I see people around me when they say they order like a nice outfit or a nice dress, and they're like, "Oh my god, I got this cute dress, whatever, Fashion Nova or whatever." And then 2 days later, they post it and they see someone else wearing the same thing, and I'm like,
Mm.
"Don't you just like hate that?
Yeah,
You want,
yeah.
seeing the, people. There's people who desire custom. There's people who want to feel because I know if I did dress up, that's something I would want to do. Like I don't like seeing people in the same stuff as me. Like I like that originality, the sense of there's one of one. It's just there's not you're not gonna see 20 people wearing the same thing on the street. Nothing's wrong with that, but I'm saying
Yeah.
there's people's preference that that's not what you want to do. So I think that was also like, yeah, create something that you know that you're not gonna just see it like anywhere, you know.
Hmm.
There's a desire for that. And like I said, it's just mainly pursuing what makes me happy. I think that was really the main push behind it. I was just the fulfillment you get afterwards from beginning to end and then from the sketch idea to the finish it's just like words can describe how great that feeling is. Sometimes you just have to sit down and be like, I've come a long way, like this
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
so I think it's that the crave of that feeling that is, and then seeing clients and stuff, the excitement on their face, it
Mm.
means the world. Like seeing people from when they try on their stuff and they're like, oh, like that feeling is priceless. Seeing them all excited, the joy on their faces. I don't know. It's something about it that is priceless, you know. So I would say that was the main push behind that. And
Yeah. You
I thought, yeah, go ahead.
no, like you actually answered my next question. This is what I like because your brain is already there. So you already answered my next question. I'll tell you what it was,
Yeah.
but then I want to ask you the concept from beginning to end. I'm going to ask you a question about
Hmm.
that. But my question that you just answered was sometimes one may think that it's been done already. How do you
Hmm.
create but not imitate? And you like the original pieces, and you're like, you answered the question, but I don't know if you want to add to what I just said too.
Well, in the world of fashion, there's so many things out there. So it's sometimes it's really hard to be original. And that's why
Yeah,
you see designers just do some crazy stuff. Like
yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
even make sense.
yeah,
Because as long as nobody else is doing it, I don't care how crazy it looks. You'll see
yeah.
Balenciaga with the oversized shoes. It's ridiculous, but
Mhm.
nobody else is
Yeah,
doing that. So
yeah.
they do the most just to get that originality back, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it's hard to do something that's not already out there, but that's why it's kind of like it's okay to get inspiration from things,
Mhm.
um that's there's a fine line between getting inspiration and just taking somebody's idea, right?
Mhm.
um for me, I think it's easier just to come up with ideas. Like I could look at a lamp right now and just think of 20 different designs based on that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that's just how my head is wired. No, I'm not trying to hype my own self, but it's just that's how my brain is. Even if I'm going on vacation and I'm by myself, I'll just sit and look at something, and from there I take my sketch pad with me.
Mhm.
From there I popped up like a bunch of stuff, but I know that I know there, like, I'm not saying there's nothing like that out there. It might sound something close to it,
Yeah.
but on say you find something you like and you
Mhm.
take a picture of it and you put it on Google, you can find exactly 20 different places.
Right.
That is one thing I can't stand.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to be able to take something and take a picture of the design and know that, okay, I don't see it. There's things that are very close to it, but not exactly the same. So
Right.
yeah, it's hard. I won't lie, but also not so hard at the same time, if that makes sense. It's just kind of what comes up in my head as a creative. It's just always pushing that and getting inspiration from different places.
Mhm.
That's why I try to travel or do things like out of my comfort zone to get me inspiration from anywhere, right?
Mhm.
But I'm not sure if that answered your question, but
Yeah, it
a
did. It
little.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what?
Okay.
Because we have the same brain, like I feel like there's so many questions that I'm coming up with, like after you talk too,
Shoot.
because we're on the same path right now. But
Yes.
you just said something there because I'm a creative, you're a creative too. One thing that I want to ask you outside of the couple questions I have left is I have a hard time sleeping because
Okay.
my brain is always on. So I
Trust
need to
me.
ask you about that. Like, do you get hit with things at night? Do you have a hard time thinking because you're
Oh
always
my
thinking?
goodness. Me, it kicks in during the day.
Oh, okay.
At night, I'm out like a light switch.
You're always like,
Like I can sleep anywhere, but during the day,
yeah,
during the day, that's when my head is going. And like
mhm,
I said, that probably plays a role in that introverted side because I'm
yeah,
always in my own head. Like
yeah.
I could be in a group setting and I've just zoned off, and you can tell like I'm just so out of it. And
Mm,
they're like, "What is going on in that head of yours?" Like, what? I just want to open it up and see what are you thinking. Like, I I don't know if like even if I'm talking, like I'll want to finish a story, but my head is already going
yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
else. It's like my mind is always racing. But at night,
yeah.
I think that's when I put it to sleep. So I have a better time at night sleeping.
Mm,
But
okay.
during the day, mine is like a daytime thing. Like it's 24/7. So which is why I hate telling stories because I can't keep focused as I'm trying to tell you something. 20 different things has popped up in my head in the process. So it's just yeah,
Yeah,
similar but opposite days or timing. I mean, like
yeah, yeah.
it's a
Okay.
struggle, but
Yeah, okay. I needed to know that. Okay, so you're a good sleeper. You can sleep anywhere. I understand.
very
I get
good
it.
sleeper.
I get it. Anywhere you just
I'm
okay, okay. All right, all right. You didn't fall asleep during the pod though, man.
it's like
Okay.
literally having my energy drink at some point.
Oh god. Oh my god. Oh, yo, Robin and Mita were right. This is you're a great person to have on the podcast. Okay.
Oh man.
Okay. Now I want to know about from conception, from what's in your head. You got it on. So do you like the whole process? And do you do the actual cutting of the fabric? So from the drawings, I don't know what's after the drawings, but after you can walk me through it.
Yeah, yeah.
You like the from beginning to end, the drawings, doing it on fabric, what do you have to do, the cutting and have you done that from beginning to end, or do you have a team that does it
Oh yeah,
now?
that's
Or let me know about that.
it's just me as of right now, anyways.
Okay.
It's me. I, come up with an idea, I put
Hmm.
it down on the sketch it out, look for the fabric for it maybe, or if I've seen the fabric first, then I can envision what I want to do, then draw it.
Hmm.
Then I make the patterns for it,
Hmm.
which is like the big blocks of papers to put on the fabrics. Then you cut it out, then you sew it, then you do the fitting. It's like sometimes I'll do a rough copy first out of a fabric, and then I'll go to the main one,
Hmm.
and then yeah, sew it. Then you finish it off with some hand work or whatever the case is, whether it's beading, whatever the case is. But beginning to end, it's me. Then after that, sometimes I'm also the photographer.
Oh wow, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I'm also the makeup artist. So it's like, okay, I've actually make, say I'm doing a design for a client, right?
Hmm.
I'll do maybe 10 sketches of a style of dress, maybe in different variations.
Hmm.
They'll kind of pick and choose which style or what they like from each style, and I'll put it together, right?
Hmm.
Um, but because when I do my sketches, most designers, their focus is just the outfit, right? But because my interest is in makeup too and everything, I'll draw the model from beginning, like head to toe,
Oh
with
wow.
makeup, the hair that I think would, and like it all together. So most of the time, when the person is the dress is done, they want the makeup to look just like the drawing. They want the
Hmm.
hair to look good. So it's like you've done everything really for them. They're like, this is the look I want to do. Actually, I'm just gonna copy the look you've done on the drawing.
Hmm.
So then I'll do it. I won't do the hair though, but like they'll get their hair done maybe like that. I'll do the makeup just like that. Sometimes the drawings or the jewelry that I put on the drawing is the inspiration for them. Like I want that kind of jewelry. So really,
Yeah.
you've drawn it and styled them at the same time, all
Wow,
with the
yeah.
drawing.
Hmm.
So it usually goes hand in hand, and it's easier too because they're like, oh, now the dress is done. I have to find a makeup artist. Oh, I'm also a makeup artist. Look at that.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
now the makeup is done. I need a photographer. This and that. I'm also a photographer.
Yo.
I mean, so it's convenient for them because they do everything.
Hmm.
And I think really at some point that's the goal, to own a fashion house where everything is done in house. I'm
Yes.
not sourcing from out. I want it, in Canada, or wherever my final destination is.
Hmm.
I would like a team in house where the photography is there, the makeup is there, the people doing the sewing and everything is there. So it's like it's all by the fashion house, right? So I
Hmm.
think that's what ideally, because I like to have the control over things like in that aspect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just me. It's just as of right now, it's me.
Yeah, I like that because I seen your pieces, your designs on Instagram,
Yeah.
scrolling through. You don't have a lot right now, so it was easy for
No,
me
I
to
have to
scroll
post.
through.
I'm so
Yeah.
I have lots of content that I haven't posted. I'm just right now I've gotten some interns to help run my social media a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit as well too. So
Hmm.
it's not only just the TÉLÈ page, but I also do a sustainable fashion brand as well, where it's like you're taking old pieces and you're
Hmm.
turning them into new pieces. I
Yeah.
send you the Instagram page for that after as well too.
Yeah, send
But
me
I've
that.
got
Yeah.
people working on that. So me and posting, I'm not active on like that. It's hard to do all of that and then go on social media and start trying to post it and stuff like that. So I'm not consistent with the posting, which I
Yeah.
know I need to fix up. So you will be seeing a lot more photos coming up. I
Hmm.
promise. I was trying to get them all in before the show, but I couldn't. I was just it's a lot going on, but you will
Yeah.
see a lot more stuff to be posted. So
Yeah,
yeah,
great. Because that's the way things are going, like for the past how many years, where the
yeah.
social is very important part of the
Oh yeah,
promotion too, right?
marketing.
Marketing.
Trust
Mhm.
me, trust me.
So I
Yeah,
want to
but
now ask you about, sorry, you can say one last
no, no,
thing?
no. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to know because I seen the pieces on Instagram. So I want to know, how do you decide to incorporate what to incorporate, the bold colors, the black and whites, or the animal print? Like what are you drawn to most? Because I've seen so many creative designs that you have on there.
So, um, good question. I actually always gravitate towards black. I get
Mm,
that from my dad.
yeah.
Black is always my color, and I've learned I need to step outside. Like, so I tried to do the opposite in my designs, and I'm trying to push for more color, more bold stuff because it's how I feel on the inside. But my color, as you see, I'm in all black today. I'm black pants, black shoes, black.
Mm, mm.
Trust me,
Same,
that
same.
even when I wear my glasses, I'm it's all black. Like you
Yeah.
can't see that. So my designs, I'm trying to push outside of that, like get stuff that I wouldn't normally. I think design is an extension of what I would like to be, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I, you know, things that I don't wear on a normal day, stuff that I would incorporate in my design, things that I maybe would like one day. So, like
Yeah.
to envision like that style is what I into my drawings, if that makes sense. It's yeah, so it's just kind of the opposite. So I try to go for color, things that I know that patterns that I think would look good. Sometimes just things when I'm out, if I travel and I see a nice fabric, I'm like, oh, I could see that,
Yeah.
or I'm in a fabric store, like, so I don't think of it in advance. I just kind of when I see it. But really,
Okay.
if I'm being honest, Canada's fabric choice is just the shit. I can't.
Oh,
You
wow.
at some point will have to source fabric if you want some unique, cool stuff. You would have
Right.
to go outside of Canada, which is what I'm trying to do more with my travels. Is
Mhm.
when I travel for vacation, take time out to see what they have out there
Oh,
too,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
Because Canada, there's nothing like special about the fabric selection. It's not necessarily known for their fashion, right? And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people go to the States to order stuff and get things from online from the States as well too. So that's something that I'm one day I can hopefully bring to Canada as well, like that luxury style of fashion that's like you'd see maybe in the States or somewhere else. I'm trying to bring that here. So it's like there's an actual fashion house here too,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the color choices. They're say by luck. When I see them, I can't something that's pre-planned really.
Hmm.
Or if I have a design idea in my head, there's places that you can draw your designs and they can make it into a pattern for you.
Oh,
Or
okay.
I want to incorporate some of my art into fabric as well. So you
Yeah.
can do some artwork and they'll digitally create it in a fabric print for you.
Hmm.
So it's actual unique fabric and you know that this is one of a kind. It's like say maybe Louis Vuitton or something, how they have their custom fabrics, and you know that fabric is not you can't see it anywhere unless it's a fake version of it or something. Kind
Yeah.
of like that. So
Yeah.
there's ways to make your patterns more unique. But yeah, it's there's no really process, I guess, to picking the right fabric. I just try to go for more colorful things that will catch people's eye, kind of, right?
Hmm.
Both guys and girls as well too.
Oh, yeah.
So
True. True. Yeah. I
yeah,
seen the pages, the models, guys,
yeah.
girls. Amazing. Thanks for
Thank
sharing that.
you.
What the last kind of question I want to ask is, were you ever influenced by some of the TV shows? Because when we were growing up, I don't know what they have now, but we had on City TV, there was a show called Fashion Television hosted by a lady named Jeannie Becker. And she
Mm.
had Andre Leon Talion and Dolce Gabbana, so many different designers on the show. And it was something that we got to watch. I think it was on Sundays or Saturdays. But I would watch it sometimes and I see them on the runway and things like that. Were you influenced by some of these shows, or did you watch any shows like that?
Um, Honestly, no. I get the shows that I watch, just any show really. I just try to watch, sorry, let me answer that properly. You know how like you'd watch a show and it's like you're looking at maybe they're acting or you're looking at something else. My
Hmm.
focus is always the clothing, really. Like I'm
Oh,
watching the show too, but I pick up on design ideas off of even like old back in the day shows, like those
yeah.
the 60s or 80s or whatever.
Hmm.
I pick up on some things from there. So I'm like, I'm watching it, but I'm also like, oh, that's a cool style. You don't see that anymore. Like I'll pick up on things and so there's been a few shows. But as of recent, I'd say what is that show called? Next in Fashion or something like that, or Next in there's a show on Netflix, it's called Next. So it's like a bunch of designers from and then they do competitions,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah.
there's some cool ideas that you get in the process. And honestly, I try to go along with them. Like if there's a contest,
Hmm.
I'll try to do my own while I'm watching it. Like if there's a
Oh,
requirement, like okay, so this is what you need to do. You have X amount of time. I'll try to incorporate that with the speed and the ideas. Like so, it's a mix of everything. I would say I draw inspiration from everywhere, not just shows. I can't name a show in particular.
hmm.
Um, just it's just from everywhere, really. I pick and choose what I like from anything, and I just kind of can incorporate it into something new. So
Yeah.
not one show in particular, or even the drag race.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not crazy about it, honestly, but say they're very bold and they definitely step outside of the boundaries of what fashion is. So even with that, I'll get one or two ideas a little bit, but
Hmm.
nothing in particular. No.
Yeah.
It's a wide range of inspiration from everywhere.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. One thing I want to know, because you mentioned some of the time periods, what
Yeah,
time period kind of are you drawn to? Because there's a lot of different, I would say, things that stand out, like even from the 50s or 60s and the 80s for sure. When I grew up, fashion, especially the black culture, when it comes to hip hop, some of the
right.
fashion is amazing if you had that eye looking at what they were wearing, you know?
It's very unique. Right now it's back to the originality. It's hard to make original stuff now. A lot of ideas that we have now, they're actually drawn from before.
Yeah.
They just take stuff that maybe they think people don't know exist anymore, and then they try to reinvent it into something. But we're like, it's just copy and paste of what was already made.
Hmm.
So in all those different, even 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it's there's always something from each that I
Uh,
really I think the authenticity of just fashion back then is just unmatched.
yeah.
It's unmatched. It was original, it was quality, it was unique. Now it's a lot of fast fashion. Um Fashion is just turning into something completely different now. But
Hmm.
um really in every stage back then, there's always something. Like there's not one particular 90s though, I will say, even though that wasn't too far off, but it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the colors, it was very
Mm,
colorful, it was very prints, but especially with hip hop and the streetwears, there's a lot of cool things that I really like that. But even before then, the elegance, the just
yeah,
it was just more original stuff, authentic. So
yeah.
yeah, I said within that from maybe 60s, 50s
Hmm.
to like 90s,
Yeah.
there was definitely, you know, yeah, especially like the ladies and how they carried themselves, the sophisticatedness or the elegance, the like the what do you call it? The corsets. I don't know what era that was, at the 60s or 70s. I forget. There's like the snatched waist and it just looks
Oh,
so.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's just
Mm,
elegant. Like
mm.
they couldn't breathe, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they look good.
They look good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried to some things from there. But yeah, that was influenced by all those times, really.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Then, the last question I want to ask you now is
Yes.
seeing your stuff on stage. So you've had your stuff worn in shows already,
Yes,
right?
I actually have another fashion show that I'm working with someone. It's in August, so
Hmm.
we're still in the works of planning that out as well too. But
Okay.
yeah, it's very first one was on for the when we were doing the graduating pieces, and it was like some of her stuff were selected to go on the stage in the runway. So that was like really the very first time. But yeah, I'm trying to get more of those now going.
Mhm.
I had to pause it a little bit to finish with school and stuff.
Yeah.
So I wasn't doing a little bit of that at the time, but now that it's done, it's like I can now full force and start doing more shows coming up. I was actually gonna reach out to I know someone, my aunt actually in Dubai.
Hmm.
She owns fashion runway. What is it called? Runway fashion. One of those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's her. She's the founder for it. So I was like, okay, can I like squeeze in my stuff?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm right now. I'm making more connections and trying to see the best places, and even Toronto Fashion Week. I'm incorporate some of my stuff in there too. So yeah, it's good. It's a stressful experience, no doubt about that. Because
Oh, that's what I want to know. Yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
they handle it for the most part, but if you're kind of on your own for that day, it's kind of like you have to be responsible for that. Make sure your models are in on time, makeup and hair, and that's why I'm fussy because sometimes the makeup artist, I'm like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, yeah. What are we doing
Like,
here?
this is not what we asked for.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to make like a mood board you can give them as to what you expect the models to look like or what kind of
Oh.
makeup you're going for. Then you have to take them to hair so it's making sure everyone's on time, the models, everything's fitting good, they
Mhm.
walk on cue. It's definitely a process to do a fashion show. I think lately the fashion shows is less effort in terms of just it's just like walking, like, but more professional fashion shows. It's like
Mm-hmm.
there's more stuff that goes into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Select the kind of music you want the model to walk out to. They have to practice walking on time, when to stop, when to, you know.
Yeah.
So it's fun regardless, even though I'm not the one on stage doing that. It's just as nerve wracking for me
Yeah.
because I'm in the back, like, okay, don't trip.
Oh my God. I could imagine. I could imagine.
Yeah. So, and you know, you want your models to be at ease as well too, because it shows when they're not. So finding a model who's not just okay with taking pictures, but being comfortable seen publicly and walking, right?
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you have some difficulties with some models where it's like maybe they're not necessarily comfortable wearing outfit or certain style of outfit. And you're like, dude, you've seen this before. Why are you acting up the day before?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so you have to make sure because if they're not comfortable, once again, it shows, right? The way they
Right.
walk, the way
Yeah.
they did show it off. So
Hmm.
it's definitely a whole process, but it's one of those things that you go through, and when it's done, it's like, that was really good, and it's like a rush
Yeah.
after like that. We really just did that. That was
I
good.
get
So
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, fashion shows
Amazing.
are definitely good.
Amazing. All
Yeah.
right. Tally, we come to, oh, this has been an amazing podcast. Season 10 is kicking off nice. Um, I come to the last part of the pod where I ask you a question, but it's based on what you choose.
Okay.
Which one do you want me to read out? The Blue Jays or the Raptors?
Raptors.
Right. Name one challenging thing you had to overcome in life.
Hmm. One challenging thing. I would say being comfortable with being different.
Mm,
I think, and that's still something I'm still learning to unlearn how I was kind of, you know, how I've seen things previously. I think um, different in all aspects, not just with my passion or whatever, like just my personality. Growing up, I never really felt like there was a particular group of people that I fit in with.
mm,
And people like, you know, you see me now, but you would never expect that. But these are things that I've just, you know, with even culture wise, you know, I've always had diverse friends, but I never really felt like I've personality wise, it's okay, but I just never really felt like genuinely felt like I fit in a particular group. So I've always felt like an outsider for the most part of my, and that's affected how I interact with people and how I see things, you know. But I've learned to rather than push away from that, embrace it and be like, this is what makes you who you are. Like this is a good thing. This isn't a bad thing. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not feel like you're understood by everyone. You don't have to be understood.
mm.
As long as you're seen, you don't need to be understood. That's fine. Yeah, that's I think, and that plays a big role in even my fashion too. Like just I feel like everything I've done, especially with the group of people I surround myself with, I've always been the one going a whole different path. And everyone
Yeah.
I'm used to being around people or growing up around people who've gone a straight path. Maybe this is, and I've always veered. But what's the word? Vendered off or veered off?
Veered off.
I've
Yeah.
always, yeah, like
Yeah.
um scary place to be knowing that your path is whole different than everybody else you know. And
Mm.
that's okay. You know, you don't need someone holding your hands to go down a different path. You're okay. It's a reminder because my actual full name is Oluwateleola. Oluwateleola. That's a Nigerian. I'm short for Tele, but it's Oluwateleola is my full legal name. And as long as it is,
Yeah. Yeah.
it has such a beautiful and powerful meaning to it. And that's something I always have to remind myself. It means God has prepared the path for success for you.
Mm.
He's He's giving you everything you need to succeed. You don't have to worry, you just put your trust in him. So that's something that I'm so happy I have a name like that. Um I tell people like, oh my God, it's a long name. I'm like, yeah, but it's also a beautiful meaning. So I don't hate it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a constant reminder that it's okay. He's prepared your future for you. What you think is not set yet is already set in place for you.
Mm.
What you want is already there. It's waiting for you. So you just have to trust and know that it's okay to go down this path. He's got you. Like he's giving you everything you need to be on this path. And the things that I come across every day is just a constant reminder that you're okay, you're on the right path, you're doing good. So yes, that was one of the challenging things because I always it brings fear to me. Like, okay, you guys are doing your 9 to 5. I'm not doing my 9 to 5. Like, is that gonna affect me down the line? Is that like it's okay to not do that, right? So that's definitely I think one of the things that I've just had to constantly accept, and learn to be okay with. So I would say that's the most impactful, challenging things that I've experienced. But
Mm.
yes, I'd say that's the most important one for me.
Bam. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that.
Anytime.
Yeah, I like that. Beautiful name too. But don't ask me to
Thank
like
you.
pronounce it or say it. You
I
know what I
won't.
mean?
Don't
Like,
worry about to
ew.
butcher those. I've been called Uluwata, Uluwala. I'm like, you know what? Whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, you're good.
Oh
You
my
just,
God. Oh
I'm not gonna
man.
get offended.
Amazing. Yo, I gotta tell you, I gotta have you, I gotta have you back on. I don't
Love
know,
to be back
down the
on.
line, get a catch up
Of
too, man.
course, of
Amazing.
course. Your bear vibes. I love it.
True. Thank you. Okay, now I just like to tell people for season 10, all my donations are going to Liam's mission. And now Telly, plug your stuff, your socials, let people know where they can find you before we sign off, and any last words.
Um, First of all, thank you for having me. It's a really great opportunity, and thank you for allowing me to push out of my comfort zone a little bit. I really
Mhm.
appreciate that. You're good vibes, you're good people. Um, so it's an honor to meet you. And thank you for having me. My social media, do you want me to say it or just
Yeah, go ahead.
uh, underscore TE.LE, then underscore again? That's the tele. My personal one or
Yeah, you can
T
if you want.
underscore T
Mhm.
underscore so trendy. That's T underscore SOTRENDY. So follow me, check out my stuff. There'll be more stuff coming up. But yes, everyone, thank you for having me. That's
Yes.
my yeah, happy
All
to be
right.
here.
Yo, I've been pronouncing your name wrong then.
Tele.
Yeah, and I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole
No,
show.
honestly, no, you haven't. It's like I'm not offended by that. Everyone says it slightly different. Tele, with a little accent. TEL. Think of telephone, television,
Tele,
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 yeah,
right?
television
Tele.
without the vision. Tele, yeah.
Mm,
So you say tele. I'm like, okay,
tele,
whatever.
yeah.
But yes, tele. Like, listen, I'm not. I understand it's good intention behind it. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna be like, oh,
But I see the accents on the E, the accent.
yeah. That's so. So it's like in Yoruba, my language. So
Yeah,
it goes te goes up, and then
yeah,
the one that comes down is le. So
yeah,
le. So that's why the accent goes up and down. It's like it increases the sound of the e and it drops it at the end as well. So
yeah.
tele. So telephone, television, teletubbies, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
We're out here.
Tele. Thank you for coming out. This is Real Talk with Star Scorpio, season 10, and we out.